Aye, come on, one more. Aye, aye, come on. Aye. Woo. What's happening, my fellow geeks and geekettes? Welcome to a brand new, very special episode of Cosplay Chris. Now, this video has been a long time coming. In this video, I'm going to be doing a breakdown of my Alexios cosplay costume from the latest Assassin's Creed game, Odyssey. Now, I built this costume a couple of months ago. I have since done the Assassin's Creed challenge with Ubisoft Australia, as well as PAX down in Melbourne last month, and it has been an amazing experience to say the least. Now that the dust has settled and everything has calmed down and con season is over, I can finally do my breakdown video on the costume and a demonstration on how the costume works. Now, firstly, a massive thank you to Ubisoft Australia and the whole crew there. They were the coolest people to be around, the coolest people to work for, the coolest people to collaborate with. They were amazing at the Assassin's Creed challenge at Metcalfe Park here in Sydney. They looked after myself and you, Liz, like little silkworms. They were the best. So again, guys, thank you so much for everything and just being so accommodating. Secondly, a massive thank you to the beautiful Liz, known as Just Liz, on Instagram and Facebook. Now, she was paired up with myself. I was building the costume and cosplaying as Alexios, whilst Liz was building the costume and cosplaying as Cassandra from the game. And oh my god, she killed it. This woman is a talent bag. She knows her stuff. And I'm going to go over the costume. It's predominantly foam, and this is my first time properly working with foam, whereas Liz has a lot of experience working with foam. Some of her cosplays are just out of this world, and the armor that she makes from foam looks like real armor. It's crazy. Now, let's backtrack a couple of months. When I was gearing up to come home from LA, like literally a couple of days before I flew home back to Sydney, I got an email from the lovely Kim Bender at Ubisoft Australia approaching me and saying, do you want to build the costume for Alexios and cosplay, as in we also have events coming up for the launch of Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I'm not gonna lie, I was on the fence at first, so I wasn't sure if I could do it in terms of the time frame. I had 3 weeks to build this costume. Now, 3 weeks may seem like a lot, but when you're a cosplayer and you're working to the 11th hour before the event or the con or whatever, it's hard, it's stressful. So you know what, I took a chance and I said, sure, I'll do it. So I had 3 weeks to build the costume. I have tried to replicate everything as much as possible. The reference that Kim and Ubisoft gave me was just absolutely amazing. They gave me diagrams, breakdowns, even color swatches of Alexios and his costume. The only thing I didn't get a chance to do because of limited time was the helmet. And I know it's no real excuse because Liz did the helmet for her costume. But like I said, this is my first time working with foam, so a lot of it was trial and error, and that's where most of my time was taken up. So to add a helmet into the mess that is making this costume, I would have run out of time. Down the track, sure thing, I'd love to have a crack at making the helmet. So it's pretty safe to say that I'm now addicted to EVA foam. So originally, I was gonna buy a ready-made piece of torso armor, a leather piece of torso armor. That was gonna prove to be too expensive. So I thought I'd opt and force myself to learn and work with EVA foam. So let's get to the torso armor. Like I said, it is predominantly EVA foam. These pieces here, these pleats and panels, are actually bits of leather hide left over from the Whiplash leather harness. So I had quite a bit of hide left over, and I figured if it was real leather, it would fall like real leather, whereas foam just be a bit more rigid, even if I were to use the thinnest sheet of EVA foam. And it still has that beautiful texture, as you guys can see right there, for leather. So it does the job. Now, in terms of doing the template work and figuring stuff out, I actually got my Pirate Batman chest armor and ripped the rivets out and disassembled it, laid it flat on pieces of the EVA foam, traced it out just to get a basic outline because it really contours my torso really well, so I figured it would transfer over onto Alexios, and it did. And I went and expanded upon that, and with the reference I was given by Ubisoft, I then went in and just, did all the details that I could see and that I could replicate, and all the panels here. So it's a Velcro closure at the back. In hindsight, I really should have put it on the side because it means it's a two-man operation to actually get me into the costume. So that's something that I do eventually want to revisit and actually, you know, slice down the side here and seal that in with a Velcro closure. So that's exactly what Liz did with her costume. So that's where I got the idea from. I probably should have done that in the first place, but again, it was all trial and error. I was pretty much just doing things as I went along and just winged the whole thing. Now, in terms of the hood piece, this fabric is sort of like a curtain fabric I got from Spotlight. It just seemed to be the closest match possible. Now, I know the camera isn't really picking up the weathering. It's more subtle weathering, so it's actually kind of dusty from what I've seen in the reference photos that I was provided. So there you go, there's the hood. With the gold trimming. Now the belt system is funny. It's a really kind of random belt system that Alexios and Cassandra have going on. So these are cheap $7 belts from Kmart. This is snap closure pieces here, like grommets, so they kind of snap in place and you put it around here. And there's a lot of Velcro throughout this costume, guys. You're gonna see that, you know, there's a lot of Velcro going on here. There's Velcro holding this belt down here. It makes life easier as long as the Velcro is concealed, because obviously they didn't have Velcro back in that time. You're fine, you're good. Now, in terms of the arrows, these things are just pieces of wooden dowel and EVA foam. In terms of scorching the detail in, that was done with a soldering iron. And then I went in and dry brushed some white over the feathers. And I think it turned out pretty well, you know, that took all but, you know, an hour or so. Bit fiddly, but it does the job and it looks the part. The holster for the arrows is actually a sheet of EVA foam with some leather vinyl sheet contact adhesive down over it, and then wrap it around and then just shape it and then cut it to how his pouch looks. And then in terms of the gold highlights and accents here, this is actually Sikaflex. This is like the stuff that Ben and I used to glue down my red hood fabric onto the muscle suit. So I tried to make it as three-dimensional as possible and then went over it with gold paint, just to give it a bit of structure and a bit of texture instead of just having flat gold paint painted onto the surface here. So I actually hot glued the hood part in bunched areas just so it all has that look the exact same time, because otherwise it would fall down, and just trying to replicate it as much as possible so it falls and hangs the same way it does in the game, even though it's hard to transfer something that's from a game into real life, but you do your best. Now we got the back piece here, all frayed, so that was a lot of fun. That was pretty much just attacking it with a Stanley knife. Now we got these pieces here. Now I was provided with game files for some 3D printing. Ubisoft were cool enough to provide me with that. So originally these pieces are like Medusa heads on Alexios or Cassandra. I actually found these at Spotlight. It was just a cheaper alternative and just saved on 3D printing and bodywork. All here is EVA foam. This is actually a brass ring here. So in terms of painting and getting that leather kind of cracked look, it was a mixture of burnt sienna and raw umber, dry brushing it over and over, and just till you get that desired look and effect of, like I said, old cracked leather. Okay, moving on to the undergarment that sits under the torso piece. So again, limited with time, I went out and bought a women's nightie, because women's nighties hang down enough that, you know, it'll match up. It actually says "feelin' foxy" on the inside. Turned it inside out and contacted here a panel of the same fabric that's on the hood, because that's part of Alexios's look for his under tunic. It's kind of got this one red panel hanging out under the pleats there. So that was pretty simple, just weathered it up, tatted it up. And you're thinking on your feet, you come up with some crazy stuff, even getting a women's nightie, for God's sakes. Now, the gauntlets. The gauntlets is something I really wanted to, you know, nail and get right. So, like I mentioned, Ubisoft were cool enough to provide me with some 3D files for 3D printing. So, Miles helped me out with this. He actually 3D printed these pieces on his resin printer, the eagle and the snake. So these are directly from the game files. This is as close as you'll get, guys. That's dead on accurate. So the basis for the gauntlets is EVA foam. Again, a lot of Velcro going on here. And this is actually the same leather vinyl sheeting that's actually on the bow and arrow holster. This comes off like so. So like I said, a lot of Velcro. Now this is actually backed up with resin, supercast resin, just so it holds its shape. And again, the same painting method like on the torso armor, just a lot of dry brushing back and forth, just until you get the desired effect. Now the basis for the gauntlets, Benny was awesome enough to give me some blank castings of his Batfleck gauntlets. So I wanted a bit more structure to my forearms because my forearms are quite skitty, and you know, I've really got to work to put size on there. And you look at Alexios and his forearms are big and he's quite beefy. So I got Benny to cast me up some urethane Batfleck gauntlets without the fins. And then again, I got the same fabric for the hood and glued it all down. So it was all permanently wrapped. There is a zipper closure right there. It all kind of fits together like a jigsaw puzzle. So this is the left-hand gauntlet. Again, all EVA foam. We've got elastic straps around here. And again, this is a base Batfleck gauntlet with a gray fabric contact adhered around, and a Velcro system and a zipper system. Now in terms of the hand wraps, I went ahead and pre-glued them all. It just makes life easy, and that way it's not gonna kind of slip and fall down during the day at a con or an event or wherever, and it just makes life easier. Now don't worry guys, you're gonna see a demonstration of me putting this whole costume on from start to finish, and then just demonstrate just how it looks and how it moves. Even though I can't really move in that torso armor, it still does the job. Now, footwear. Keeping with the theme of acquiring women's apparel and clothing and shoes, so like the nightie, I went and got some women's sandals from Target and pimped them out. You know, they were very lovely to start with, even though this is a size 11. I really could have gone with a size 12 in women's, but they didn't have them, unfortunately. It was just a matter of adding spare pieces of leather hide to them, just until I got that look. Now, to weather them, it was actually black spray paint and baby powder, just to give that kind of powdered, dusty kind of look. And they're actually, for being a bit small in size, they're quite comfortable to wear. I dig them a lot. There you go, give you guys a nice close-up of both sandals together. Now the shin guards is something originally Miles and I were going to 3D print with the game files, but we didn't have time. So for the under pieces of the shin guards, this is actually like MMA kind of shin protection guards. I took the foam out, and it's just something to lay under there, under the pieces. Now there is a piece of Velcro attached to this one. So this is for the right leg. Again, EVA foam. This is actually yoga mat foam from Bunnings Warehouse. There's that other Velcro strip, and it Velcros like so. And then we've got more EVA foam for the wrap that wraps around. Now the left leg was one that really kind of tested me in terms of multiple pieces of foam coming together and contouring them. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces of EVA foam. And it was just a lot of heating back and forth with a paint stripper gun just to get that desired effect. It was a matter of also wrapping it around my calf, like my leg, and just heating it and just shaping it until I got that look. And these pieces here I actually got from Spotlight. These are just little clip fasteners right here, whereas the game doesn't have those pieces. It's just kind of a split down the middle, but you gotta think practically throughout the day. The more you move, that thing is gonna slip off and come off eventually. So these little closures just act as insurance. Now I should actually backtrack. All EVA foam pieces were sealed up with black plasti dip, and that just helps the paint adhere to it. And it also stops the paint really soaking into that EVA foam. So the shin guard pieces were sprayed with a gold spray paint and shoe polish. Black and brown shoe polish for the weathering. And pretty simple. It just really has that nice old kind of metallic look to it. And that's, again, this is why I'm obsessed with EVA foam now. Now, last but certainly not least, before we head up to the garage and I give you guys a little demonstration, the weaponry. So again, we didn't have time to 3D print the sword, the snake handle sword. So Cam was actually up in Sydney when I was needing to make some sort of weaponry. This was the weekend after Oz Comic Con Sydney. The following weekend I had the Assassin's Creed challenge with Yaliz, and we were unveiling our costumes for the first time. So Cam and I put this together in a couple of hours. This is all pieces from Bunnings. You know, we've got bedposts, handles. In terms of the blade, it's just a piece of doweling with aluminium tape adhered to it, much like what Adam Savage uses in his tested videos. So Cam was an absolute trooper helping me get this piece together, and it looks the part. It's absolutely amazing. For something you could knock together in a few hours, you can't go wrong. Now again, a massive thank you to Ubisoft, because they actually sent me their spear replica from the game. This is actually a licensed product that they offer, and it's an amazing replica. Like, the detail on it for a mass-produced item is insane, and it was just the perfect addition to the costume. Of course, you know, it was one of those things where people just want to pick it up, and it's actually hefty for plastic. It's got some weight to it. Now, the only real things that I'm missing from this costume is the fake tan. I'm done with fake tans for a very long time, especially after Whiplash. So, of course, you guys know I had Oz Comic Con Sydney as Whiplash in a fake tan. The following weekend, I had to unveil this costume, so that was another spruce up of the fake tan. So, look, the hair's on point. The beard's a little bit longer than Alexios's in the film because he has got, you know, a couple of days stubble going on there, but you guys don't really care about the stubble. It's all about the costume, guys. So, with that being said, we're gonna head up to the garage. Because it's such a special occasion, I have cracked out the old school backdrop, that old disgusting grey backdrop that I used to use in my pretty much first videos when I started Cosplay Chris. I should actually probably get a pump. Yeah. Anyway, let's go.
Aye, come on, one more. Aye, come on.
Woo. Now, in terms of suiting up, it all comes down to strategy and tact. So, this is one of those costumes where it does make bending over a little bit difficult. So, we're gonna start from the ground up. I'm gonna show you guys how to put the shin guards on and obviously the sandals, even though everyone knows how to put sandals on. Cue, he skips leg day jokes in 3, 2, 1! Done. I just want to apologize that you guys have to stare at my pasty legs for this video. I really do apologize. It's now time to make our way up. So we're gonna get straight to it and put the torso armor on. Here it is off the mannequin. You guys can get a good look inside there and the Velcro closure system and how that works. So the belt as well is fixed on by Velcro because I wanted that taper kind of look going on. So having Velcro there just helps it a lot. So it's just a matter of plonking it on like so. Get the hair out. I need someone to help me. Dad! Alright, there we go. So, all closed in the back. Now, I tried to make it as contoured to my torso as much as possible, just especially with that kind of V-taper look that you want. So, in terms of the crumple zone here, it's not too bad. Like, you can kind of bend over, but it's one of those things where I don't really want to push it, if you know what I mean. So now that this stage is done, it's time to put on the belt system and the arrow pouch and the arrows. So like I said, this drapes over like so. Sit there, and then that Velcro's in like so. Make sure the hair's not getting caught. Now this piece here, like I said, it's a very peculiar kind of belt system. So this piece feeds around and up, and then snaps in place like so. There you go. Go over and line up the Velcro. Sweet, sweet. That's all hanging at the back. Perfect. The hood. Go up like that. And I just tried to also replicate that kind of baggy hanging look that it has. The downside about EVA foam is it doesn't breathe. So already I can feel myself starting to get very steamy inside this thing. So it's about 10 times worse when you're in a convention center, but you're running on so much adrenaline, you don't really care. You know when they're at like the character select screen and they just stand there like this? And there you have it, guys, my Alexios cosplay from Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I just want to give a massive thank you to Ubisoft Australia for giving me the opportunity and the chance to give this a crack. Honestly, it tested my limits. I learned a lot of new stuff. I have a newfound respect for people that work with foam, and of course, a massive thank you to the beautiful Yaliz. It was an honor to be working beside you and just see, again, your talents up close. You're an amazing cosplayer, and I couldn't think of anyone else better to play Cassandra than you. Guys, wherever you are in the world, have yourselves a cracker of a day. I hope you're well, hope you're happy, be merry, be silly, and until next time, geeks, please always remember, cosplayers do it best.